We're happy to welcome everyone who is here. And my name is Kathy Kelly. I'm board president of World Beyond War, and I'm happy to be the MC for this event. We've got some wonderful people to welcome. And among them, we're grateful to welcome Jose Navarro, who will interpret almost the whole event into Spanish. And in just a moment, Jose will offer instructions, thank you, Jose, in Spanish for those who want English translation. The Ecuadorian award recipients will speak in Spanish, and so we invite English speaking participants in the call to get translation by going to the tape at the bottom of your screen and choosing the three dot symbol. And then when you press more, you can select the idiom that you want to listen in. So may I ask Jose Navarro to give those instructions to our Spanish-speaking participants? Or perhaps, Gabriel, could you offer those instructions in Spanish?
Sí, claro, por supuesto, puedo ayudar. Bueno, muy buenas tardes sean para todas y todos. Damos la bienvenida tanto a los compañeros de CEPAS como a los compañeros del Centro Segundo Montes Mozos. Gracias por estar con nosotros hoy en esta ceremonia de entrega de los premios a la abolición de la guerra. Hoy tendremos servicio de interpretación inglés-español, español-inglés. Debajo del Zoom hay un globo del globo terráqueo. Allí pueden seleccionar el idioma de su preferencia, por supuesto será en este caso español para que ustedes puedan escuchar toda la ceremonia que va a estar transcurriendo seguramente en el idioma inglés. Gracias.
Gracias, Gabriel. So again, my name is Kathy Kelly, and I'm board president of World Beyond War. Happy to welcome everyone to this event. You know, in our war-weary world, peace activists have been belittled, lately deported, sometimes killed. And so here at World Beyond War, we're especially eager to do the opposite, to recognize and celebrate and thank those people who have been so inspirational in their work to put an end to all war. So we can begin our celebration today with a new award. It's the Couples Award. And this War Abolisher Couple Award of 2026 will be presented by World Beyond War's treasurer, Dr. John Ruhr. And it goes to Drs. Mazen Khamsia and Dr. Jesse Chang Khamsia, recognizing their work in occupied Palestine to create what is now an oasis of peace and hope in Bethlehem. So thank you, John.
Thanks. I'm so honored to be doing this award because it's our first ever Couple of the Year award. It's a very special honor for me in particular because on my fourth visit to Palestine in 2019, things had clearly deteriorated dramatically from my prior visits for the people of Palestine and seemed so bleak. And meeting Mazen for the first time and getting his optimistic view of the future was inspiring, grounded as it was in the deep knowledge of not only the history of Palestine, but of the other colonial projects and the way they ended. And since that first meeting, I've had the pleasure of visiting he and Jesse in Bethlehem and hosting them in Maryland, where he opened the eyes of my Quaker friends to the reality of the occupation. They have also visited at least one of our other of our board members in Aotearoa, New Zealand, Liz, who's here. So Jesse was born in China and Mazen in Beit Sahor near Bethlehem. They've worked side by side for 42 years to accomplish things that are part and parcel to the mission of World Beyond War, which is to end war as a human institution by creating a just and sustainable peace. Creating justice for humanity and tending the earth that sustains us are what Mazen and Jesse do. Mazen's scientific accomplishments are legion with degrees in biology, zoology, cytogenetics. He's been on the medical faculties of the University of Tennessee, Duke, and Yale, and published hundreds of scientific articles in several books, including my favorite, Sharing the Land of Canaan. And while doing this, he's remained an activist the whole time. When he was in the US, he was media coordinator for the Arab American Anti-Discrimination Committee. He co-founded Academics for Justice and the Boycott Israeli Goods campaigns. He was he was a steering committee member of the U.S. Campaign to End Occupation and the Association for One Democratic State in Israel and Palestine. And in the course of his activism, he was arrested in May of 2010 and 2011. And I'm sure he can tell you the indispensable role that Jesse played in all this. So this couple gave up a very comfortable life in the U.S. by moving back to Palestine in 2008. And in 2014, founded the Palestine Museum of Natural History and the Palestine Institute of Biodiversity and Sustainability with Bethlehem University, using several $100,000 of their own money. And to this day, they work very long days serving as volunteers, directing both institutions, and have focused their programs on outreach, empowerment, education efforts with great success. This couple embodies the principle of Samud, that powerful combination of Palestinian resistance and resilience. And by honoring both human life and the natural environment we depend on, they are building an oasis of sustainability and peace in the midst of colonial destruction of Palestine. They work with neighbors, like-minded Israelis, as well as volunteers from around the world. And I'm sure they will be the first to tell you that their efforts are made possible by the contribution of countless volunteers, and they're always looking for people to join them in their wonderful work. Jesse, Mazen, please accept this award on behalf of World Beyond War, and please tell us a little bit more about your work and what you think each of our listeners can do to help you and end the scourge of war.
I'm mute. Thank you, Kathy, and thank you, John, and thank you, everybody, for this award. It's truly an honor, and we accepted, Jesse and I. Of course, we accept it on behalf of all the victims who are truly the ones who should be honored as the victims of imperialism and colonialism around the world, actually, not just in Palestine. We Palestinians are 15.5 million people. 8.5 million of us are refugees or displaced people. But there are refugees all over the world. There's genocides and ecocides that are impacting our world, and we humbly try to do something about it. Not as much as we could. I think we could do a lot more. But anyways, the people you are honoring are people like Palestine Action and Flotilla to Gaza. These are people who are international and other local activists who work for peace and justice, for human rights, sometimes at their expense of livelihoods, of jobs, of health, sometimes of injuries. I lost a lot of my own friends in this struggle. Dozens of people who were killed in the West Bank and the Gaza Strip, whom I knew as friends and colleagues and activists for human rights. We recall also all the doctors and journalists who were killed, the fellow researchers in Gaza. Anyway, this is what motivates us, is that, yes, there's a lot of sacrifice, but there is also a lot of solidarity. I'm not sure the word solidarity is the right word, but joint struggle perhaps is better, because after all, your struggle, my struggle, everybody's struggle is one and the same struggle. And this joint struggle really is what inspires us to keep going, despite the incredible difficulties we are facing. I mean, just this morning, actually, it's now night in Palestine, but just this morning, Israeli Jewish settlers attacked the Palestinian village of Teel, and the soldiers and the settlers, which work hand in hand, of course, killed 5 Palestinians, injured many more. Among the Palestinians they killed were 2 brothers, actually. This is now a daily occurrence in our lives, and I know Teel very well because I have colleagues and friends there, and the family names of those killed, I know the family names. So every day we do have this kind of struggle, and every day we try to do something about it, whether it's in media or whether it's in publicity or whether it's in demonstrations. And I'm sure all of you are doing the same thing. So again, I don't want to prolong this, but we really appreciate this honor and we accept it on behalf of other people. But as you point out, what's beautiful about this activism is the joint solidarity. And yes, Jesse and I have been together since 1982. That's 44 years. So it's a long life together and struggle, but we are all families, all the activists. I mean, I knew Kathy Kelly for over 30 years now. So, and I consider her a sister of ours. So, and I stayed at your house, John, and we stayed at your house. But anyway, Jesse and I are partners in this. We cannot do anything alone. We do it together. So I'm pleased that you decided to honor us as a couple, but honor us also as a community of activists working in joint solidarity. All of us deserve awards. And again, thank you very much. And turn it over to Jessie. She wants to add some other things. And again, thank you very much. We are touched and truly honored by this.
Yes. First, great to see Kathy Kelly after so many years, and also great to see John, that I still remember our time at your home and then all the events that you helped organize, and listen to your own peacemaking wonderful work in all over the world. And I wanted to thank World Without Wars for this award, and it's truly an unexpected and pleasant surprise. But I want to congratulate all the other awardees, and I feel that I am doing a very, very small part. I admire all this work from other awardees that they're doing and sacrificing much more than I have done. And I also wanted to briefly dedicated this award to my late parents and our late great friend, Mr. Mohammed Abdul Kalbi. My friend, my late father was a refugee once when fleeing the Japanese in the Sino-Japanese War, and later fled from China to Taiwan, where I was born and grew up. And Mr. Mohammed Abdelkavi is a great friend of Palestinians and Palestine. And he was a refugee from India and went to Pakistan and then ended up in the UK, and started from ground up and made himself a great businessman. And he started coming to Palestine since 2012 and helping so many Palestinian students who cannot afford going to college, and helping them, offer them scholarship and coming to Palestine many every year, and sometimes multiple times a year. And his wish was to be buried in Palestine. He had a cancer. He knew about his cancer, and he has been going between UK and Palestine for while he was able to travel between seeing a doctor in the UK and helping the students in Palestine. And he finally rests in peace in Palestine, and we have a place in Palestine for him. And I think the hero and the peaceful gentleman like him, if he were to receiving this award, it will be really deserving such award. So again, I want to thanks, and it's a great honor. And I'm not a general, usually not a public speaker, and it's a great honor to be in the same room with all those wonderful people doing peace work and courageous work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Jesse and Mazen, you've launched this event quite beautifully. Thank you for reminding us that we are all part of one another and for all of the inspirational risks that you've been taking. David Swanson, World Beyond War's Executive Director, will present the next award to representatives of the No Foreign Bases in Ecuador movement. And David will be accompanied by Jose Navarro for translation. Thank you, David.
Thank you, Kathy. So again, this section of our program is going to have Spanish. So if you want the English from that section, click interpretation and click English. I am very, very honored to be able to present the War Abolisher Campaign of 2026 award to representatives of the No Foreign Bases in Ecuador movement that successfully organized and promoted the public rejection of a proposed change to the Constitution of Ecuador that would have allowed foreign military bases in the country. These organizers of efforts to keep foreign military bases out of Ecuador spent years doing educational, media, and activist work, bringing prominent voices into the effort and mobilizing popular enthusiasm for maintaining an independent nation. An online event in 2024 included a former president of the National Assembly and a former minister of the economy. Gabriela Rivadeneira, former president of the National Assembly of Ecuador, explained the reasons that had led to the closure of the U.S. military base in Manta in 2009, a victory that many could remember and celebrate and work to keep. She also pointed out how the Galapagos Islands were effectively being used as a military base of operations by the U.S. Army. Concern over the Galapagos brought environmentalists into the effort to keep bases out. Former presidential candidate Andres Arauz wrote, "I am hurt because they want to turn an ecological paradise, a World Heritage Site, islands full of peace, into a brothel for U.S. Navy sailors and convert the economy of the islands to dependence on gringo military spending. I am hurt because a gringo president who claims to be Ecuadorian, Daniel Noboa, has surrendered the sovereignty of my country. I am hurt because he does not care that our most precious paradise is a foreign military base to control the Pacific in the context of interstate war. To combat drug trafficking, warships are not needed. You need gringos to consume less drugs with aggressive public health programs that disrupt domestic trafficking networks in the largest cities in the U.S." End quote. A petition urged the National Assembly not to pass a bill to allow foreign bases, but it passed it, setting up a public referendum. People continued to speak out to debunk arguments that a foreign military base could provide safety or jobs, and to remind people of the abuses that had accompanied the base from 1999 to 2009. Opponents of foreign bases urged no votes leading up to the public referendum, and in November 2025, 61% of voters rejected the change to the Constitution, keeping in place the ban on foreign bases. This award is today being given to representatives from two organizations. First, two representatives of CPAZ, CPAZ, or Coordinator for Peace, Sovereignty, Integration, and Non-Intervention. Fernando Luis Garcia Rodriguez is a visual artist, set designer, film animator, teacher, and political activist. Since 2000, he has participated in various organizations supporting the Venezuelan Bolivarian process, In 2002, he was part of the founding of the Bolivarian Circle of Ecuador, an organization through which he promoted international solidarity activities and the dissemination of Bolivarian thought. In 2017, he participated in the creation of CIPAS, a human rights movement in which he served on its board and held positions as academic director and member of the Political Training Commission. In 2025, he presented a paper before the National Assembly's Defense Committee regarding the presence of foreign military bases on Ecuadorian territory. And Yuma Ortiz is a cultural anthropologist and heritage manager, a communicator, visual artist, and human rights activist. He is executive director of the Corporation for Cultural and Tourism Promotion and president of CIPAS, which is an inclusive and participatory social movement for peace and human rights, dedicated to the promotion and defense of human rights in all their dimensions, nationally and internationally. It emphasizes preserving Latin America and the Caribbean as a territory of peace, defending the self-determination of peoples, and strengthening active solidarity that integrates the countries of the world into a new era of commitments to life, social justice, and the environment. And just after we hear from Fernando and Yuma, we will hear from Pablo A. de la Vega, who is accepting this award on behalf of Segundo Montes Mozo SJ Human Rights Documentation Center, of which he is the coordinator. Pablo is also coordinator of the Ecuadorian Association of Friendship with the Sahrawi people and the Africa, Middle East, and Asia chair at the University of Tifariti. He was a member of the International Delegation on the Decontamination and Conversion of the Military Bases in San Juan and Vieques, Puerto Rico, organized by the Fellowship of Reconciliation. He has promoted numerous initiatives in favor of peace, human rights, and internationalist solidarity in and with Colombia, Cuba, the Basque Country, Iran, Palestine, Puerto Rico, and Western Sahara. On several occasions, he has participated as a petitioner in the Special Committee on Political Affairs and Decolonization of the United Nations General Assembly and appeared in 2024 before the Special Ad Hoc Committee to discuss the partial reform project to the Constitution of the National Assembly of Ecuador with the presentation Military Bases, Geopolitics, and Human Rights. So welcome to Fernando, Yuma, and Pablo, and congratulations. Please tell us a little bit about your inspiring work.
61% of the Ecuadorian people said no. However, as I mentioned, they have not complied with this mandate. But we shall continue working firmly and with will and with our strength and dignity facing these moments that humanity and Ecuador are going through. So all our solidarity to those men and women who are resilient and resisting, looking for freedom and self-determination. And also for those who have given their lives. And for those who are still as political prisoners for speaking out the truth and fighting for human rights and social justice. For all of them, our solidarity. And this award, thank you for all your work, is a recognition not only on CPAS, but to each of you, our partners, and we will continue fighting. Thank you very much for this recognition. Thank you very much, Jim and David. Pablo, por favor. On behalf of the Center of Documentation for Human Rights, Segundo Montes Mozo, I sent a warm welcome to all the people who are here today, particularly David Swanson, Director, and Kathy Kelly, and other members of the directory of War Beyond War. to the organizations and people who defend peace and human rights who are with us today and who will receive the award for War Abolition 2026 as a recognition, not only on their participation in the yearly campaign on abolishing war, but also an stimulus for their commitment for a war without armed conflicts, in which the most important is justice, peace, and human rights. In our case, this award will also honor the memory of Father Segundo Montes Mozo, who was killed on November 16, 1989, when a group of soldiers of the Atlacat Battalion of the Armed Forces of Salvador, trained by the Americas School in the United States, broke into the facilities of the Central American University in the capital of El Salvador and opened fire on the people of this house of study. During this attack, the dean of the university was also killed, Mr. Ignacio Jacuria, the vice director, Ignacio Martin, the director of Human Rights Institution, Segundo Montes Mozo, Mr. Juan Ramon Moreno, Armando Lopez, Joaquin Lopez, and 2 people from housekeeping. 30 years after, former Colonel of Salvador's army, Inocente Montano, Minister of Defense, was condemned in September 2020 in Spain to 130 years of prison for the 5 killings called terrorist killings. As per the Commission of Truth, the civil war in El Salvador left 70,000 people dead. 80% of those were civilians and 8,000 people missing. This massacre was one of the many that unfortunately Latin America has gone through back in the previous years. A show of deprivation, distortion, and manipulation of the armed forces, which we are now impotent witnesses. The state apparatus becoming a mechanism of control, dominance, and repression of our own peoples and others. That's why this is a moment to reaffirm our commitment for peace, justice, and human rights. Our commitment to face impunity and defend legality, international legality, in spite of the attack on all the legal framework that somehow gave us some fragile coexistence in the region and around the world. It is also the moment to ask for justice and honor the memory of new martyrs and victims of violations to human rights. Not all of them from open military actions as in Lebanon and Iran, others in Cuba and Venezuela that face hundreds of unilateral coercive measures that create pain, suffer, and limitations to their rights by the idle look of the international community. Other people that must bear with presence of foreign forces which want to eliminate their identity and face gradual extermination. This award honors the resistance of the Palestine people against the Zionists and also the Sahrawi people who were taken away from a monarchy that also works with the Palestinian occupation. I also want to offer this award to the children and girls who must go through the orders of aggression and open war or uncovered war. Also for the Ecuadorian kids and girls who are victims of organized crime and state violence from the public forces. Kids and girls who do not know about the presence of American troops that are having a good time, open quotes, in their territory, also by the Cuban children who have been going through a blockade for more than 60 years. And because the United States administration or previous administrations do not want to understand the reach of their measurements and blockades, also for the kids in Palestine who have been bombed, who have been bombarded, and who are suffering from war, for a state that promotes these measures against them. Also for the Sahrawi kids that live in the occupied territories, and for those who survive in one of the deserts that is one of the harshest deserts, the Hamada in Algeria, expecting or waiting for the world power to guarantee them their return to their ancestral lands. And finally, for 168 girls in Minaf in Iran who were martyrs by the American forces and the Zionist entity of Israel. An outrageous crime that reveals the identity and the nature of hate and horror that is characteristic of the culprits. Thank you to World Beyond War for this symbolic gesture.
Well, I'd like to say thank you, Pablo, to you, to Yuma, to Fernando. Thank you, Jose, for translating. And we're very, very grateful for all of the risks that you have taken and for the love and affection you express throughout adversity on behalf of those who are so innocent. We turn now to Matt Ho, an advisory board member of World Beyond War, to present the Artistic War Abolishers of 2026 Award. And this goes to Abby Martin and Mike Preisner, directors of the film Earth's Greatest Enemy, which has been awakening people literally all throughout the world. So thank you, Matt Ho.
All right. Thank you, Kathy. Among the worst horrors we face are war and environmental collapse. And among the least understood phenomena in the world is a deep connection between those two. Among the most powerful media we have is film. So to have talented filmmakers brilliantly take on this topic with an educational, entertaining, and inspirational picture, and for them to use the film to organize events to generate activism, is a wonderful gift to the peace movement. The film not only educates on the issue, but models holding powerful people to account for the destruction. This is a film that can change how the world thinks and acts. I don't think it's hyperbole to put it in the same category as Rachel Carson's Silent Spring or Neville Shoots on the Beach. So today we are honoring Abby Martin and Mike Preisner for their film Earth's Greatest Enemy as the Artistic War Abolishers of 2026. Abby Martin is a journalist, filmmaker, visual artist, and activist, a founder of Media Roots, who serves on the board of the Media Freedom Foundation. She co-directed 99%, the Occupy Wall Street collaborative film, and hosted Breaking the Set from 2012 to 2015, before creating The Empire Files as an investigative documentary and interview series. In 2019, Abby released the documentary The Empire Files: Gaza Fights for Freedom. Michael Preisner, co-producer, co-director, and husband to Abby Martin. Mike, an Army veteran of the Iraq War, was co-founder of March Forward, an organization of active duty members of the U.S. military and veterans of the Iraq and Afghanistan wars that encouraged active duty service personnel to resist deployment and seek an honorable discharge through conscientious objection. In 2026, Mike became director of the Center on Conscience and War. Mike has engaged in many protests of war and has been repeatedly arrested. Mike, I want to personally thank you for your intervention and your holding to account of President George W. Bush publicly in 2021 for the Iraq War. David, if you could please show the trailer for Earth's Greatest Enemy.
Where we're heading is extremely grim. So we have to brace ourselves for what's coming.
There are still many secrets.
The water on the base was contaminated, hence all the dead babies. Oh, shit.
These toxic chemicals are in the blood of my people.
They have littered our land with bombs.
Fire in the hole!
We used to have a lot of animals. Just keep quiet. Do you hear a bird?
The United States military is the #1 polluter in the world.
I have not authorized this.
The military is untouchable.
Let me take a look at the picture that you take.
They consider themselves above the law.
They're filming us.
The military being the single largest consumer of fossil fuels on the planet, how can they be given a free pass?
The emissions from the military should be exempt. Do you agree with that?
I want to say thank you to our National Guard.
We must stop this violent death machine if we want to survive on this earth.
The ships, the guns, the planes. This is the greatest assembly of power that the world has ever seen. And we haven't finished yet.
You can watch Earth's Greatest Enemy on Watermelon Pictures, Apple TV, and Amazon Prime Video. And you can also find local in-theater showings on the website at earthsgreatestenemy.com. I am honored on behalf of World Beyond War to present the 2026 Artistic War Abolisher to Abby Martin and Mike Preisner for Earth's Greatest Enemy. Mike is here with us today. Mike.
Matthew, thank you for that. And thank you to World Beyond War. Abby would like to be here, but she's touring the film in Australia right now, where they are hosting new military bases, nuclear weapons, submarines, and so Australia is getting a crash course in what's coming for their continent. And Abby's reported to me that there are an exciting number of organizations that have already formed to resist the U.S. military expansion there, and we hope that our film is helping to burgeon that movement. I did want to say that, like I think most of you here, Abby and I's journey began in the anti-war struggle, in particular with the invasion of Iraq in 2003. And for so many years, our focus was on building the street movement and protests and civil disobedience and grassroots organizing, which is, of course, an extremely important pillar of ending war, which all of us here care very deeply about. In 2015, we began to focus on media as a way to try to broaden out the sectors of people who cared about these issues, to bring more people into that struggle. And so when we created Empire Files in 2015, it was specifically to do that, to create agitprop, to create media that could change people's minds, that focused on the impacts of war and militarism. And I think what kept us going for so many years on that project was hearing from people personally saying, I knew nothing about this until I saw this or that report or short documentary you did, and now I'm fully in the movement. And so that we felt, proved to us, kind of what our goal and our thesis was, is that we could bring more people into this world by making compelling, beautiful, hard-hitting stories that would open us up to a new audience. And along that journey, we tried to think of new ways to continue to broaden that reach. And when we began this film project 5 years ago, 6 years ago now, in 2020 is when we began the early stages of Earth's Greatest Enemy. We were still faced with that question: is how do we bring more people into the struggle against war? And 2020 was a time where there were quite a lot of wildfires. The real the reality that the climate crisis is here. It's not something that's coming in the future, but it's here, and what's in the future is just it continuing to get worse. In addition, the global pandemic that showed that our system, particularly the capitalist, imperialist countries in the world, especially the United States, could not even handle a pandemic in any adequate way. And so seeing how they would handle a much bigger crisis of climate catastrophe, made us very, very worried. And we know that people care about the planet and the water and the air and the animals that are near where they live or the places they like to visit. And so we decided that while for a decade prior, our work focused on just the impact of war on the populations of people who are subjected to it and the people that are sent to fight it, and their families, is that we saw the issue as being much bigger, but also in a much bigger way that more and more people would care about. And so we decided to make this film as an intervention, a way to link people who care about the environment and the planet and the future of humanity, of course, but also the future of animals that are endangered or will be endangered very soon, of the forests and the waterways that we care about so much that are all under threat. And how do we make those people who care about those things understand that war and militarism is absolutely something that they must see as essential to that fight to save the planet and the living things that they love so much, and the future of our species and so many other species. And so that is what we hope to accomplish with the film. And it was a long slog, and it took much longer than we thought. And I think the reason it took so long for us to do was because as we investigated, we just kept finding more and more ways that militarism and war is destroying our home. And we wanted to make sure that we at least touched on everything, in all the ways, all the myriad angles of that destruction, in a way that our film could not leave anything out, but be used as a tool by activists and organizers around the country and around the world to rally more people to our cause, our shared mission, all of us here, to bring an end to war on this planet. And so with that, we're greatly honored for the recognition and finding people who appreciate the project that we have dedicated our lives to for so many years. And so thank you so much to World Beyond War and your staff and your board, and everyone who has helped elevate this film to even more people. And we hope that it continue for many, many years to be a resource for all of you to use in our shared efforts.
Well, thank you, Matt Ho and Mike Preisner, and we certainly hope that Abby Martin will be hearing that gratitude reverberating in many, many parts of the world. And thank you, Mike, for helping us realistically assess the greatest threats that we all face, but also equipping us to see with ever more clarity that militarism will not defend us in the face of those greatest threats. We now turn to the organizational War Abolisher Award, and we're so full of pride, really, to be able to make this award to the very brave membership of Palestine Action. And our Europe organizer, Ana Chiara Canetta, will present the award. And thank you, Huda Amori, for joining us today to receive this award for Palestine Action.
Thank you so much, Katie. Thank you for the introduction. I'm really honored and humbled to present the Organizational War Abolisher Award of 2026 to Palestine Action, represented today by its co-founder, Huda Amori. Palestine Action is a direct action movement committed to ending global participation in Israel's genocidal and apartheid regime. Using disruptive tactics, Palestine Action targets corporate enablers of the Israeli military-industrial complex and seeks to make it impossible for these companies to profit from the oppression of Palestinians. Palestine Action's primary target has been Elbit Systems, Israel's biggest weapons producer and the supplier of 85% of the Israeli military drones and land-based equipment. Elbit's products have been used extensively in the mass slaughter of people in Palestine, after which Elbit has typically labeled its weapon battle-tested, as it has marketed them to other governments. Palestine Action has disrupted, damaged property, and brought about the closure of Elbit system facilities. For sustained direct action, it has compelled Elbit to shut down weapons factories, to lose lucrative contracts, and to lose partnership with several other companies. Secondary targets also disrupted by Palestine Action. In addition to numerous action against Elbit factories and executive home in the UK and elsewhere, Palestine Action has also targeted other companies such as Leonardo, university buildings, and at least one military base, the RAF Bryce Norton. Palestine Action maintains a website suggesting appropriate targets, and it has inspired the creation of direct action groups across the world. Palestine Action activists have been willing to risk repression and imprisonment. In 2025, the British government gave Palestine Action the Orwellian label of terrorist group and criminalized any expression of support for them. Thousands of people have since been arrested for expressing their support for Palestine Action and their opposition to the genocide in Gaza, in which the British government is complicit and for which it has neither investigated nor indicted anyone. The High Court of Justice ruled the proscription of Palestine Action illegal in February 2026, and the Court of Appeal reversed that decision in June. 4 Palestine Action activists have now been sentenced to prison for periods from 4 to 8 years, with a terrorist connection as an aggravating factor, for stopping 40 units of military warfare from entering the skies over Gaza. After being prohibited from even mentioning Palestine throughout the trial and after sentencing, one of the 4, Leona Cameo, paraphrased the Palestinian poet Marwan Mahfouz. In order to hear the birds, the drones must be silent. That is what they did to silence the drones, and that is what Palestine Action is being criminalized for. Please, Huda, welcome. Thank you so much for being here with us today, and feel free to share a little about your great work.
Thank you so much. It's really an honor to receive this award. It's been a long journey. We started in 2020, and we've got to a point where rather than being awarded anything for our efforts, we've just been awarded with being called terrorists by the British state. So it's really nice to have this kind of recognition from World Beyond War. When we started Palestine Action, it was really a response to understanding and being frustrated, increasingly frustrated with the lack of progress through traditional tactics, through appealing to the government, through appealing to the oppressors, because we understood that they were complicit in the occupation, that they've been complicit in the colonization of Palestine since 1917 for over 100 years. And so rather than appeal to the same oppressors, we decided to take direct action, which meant that we would go straight to the source of where these weapons were being made, that we would go to Elbit Systems and we would shut them down using our own bodies. And over the years, we just grew from strength to strength, with hundreds of people joining Palestine Action. Over the years, actually thousands joining Palestine Action. And as we grew, the victories grew. Elbit Systems were forced, as you mentioned, to shut down 4 Israeli weapons sites in Britain. They lost billions of pounds worth of contracts, and dozens of companies cut ties with Elbit Systems as a result of direct action taken against them. But whilst from the very beginning of Palestine Action, we knew that there was meetings between the British state and the Israeli government, pro-Israel lobby groups, weapons manufacturers, Elbit Systems, applying pressure from the first month that Palestine Action existed. And so in order to try and stop us, the repression would increase from year to year, to the point where even when people were going on trial, many people were being acquitted by juries who understood that the people destroying the weapons are not the criminals, it's the ones using those weapons to commit genocide and to massacre people in Palestine. So in response to that, the British state started to remand people, which means hold them in prison before they even get to trial, punish them before they even get their day in court, hold them as terrorists. They started using terrorist legislation against us. starting with the Fulton case, leading to the Palestine Action, the prescription of Palestine Action shortly after the action at RAF Rise Norton. And as you mentioned, the first people to be sentenced as terrorists was 4 of the Fulton 25, accused of, and I would say they are proudly accused of destroying 40 Israeli weapons inside an Elbit factory in Bristol, including quadcopter drones, the same drones that are flying above Gaza that are used to snipe Palestinians in whilst they're trying to, whilst they're in their tents. They're reported to play the sounds of crying women and children in order to lure Palestinians out in the streets to shoot them and kill them. And each one of those drones could have killed hundreds of Palestinians. So by destroying those drones, they did a miraculous feat. And actually, for doing that, they were sentenced as terrorists, even though they were only on trial for criminal damage. So they completely manipulated the court process in order to try and sentence them as terrorists. But what they have done, the British state, by trying to protect the Israeli weapons industry, is they have popularized direct action. Direct action is continuing in many different forms by different groups in Britain. And as you mentioned, Palestine Action is active in over a dozen countries, taking direct action against Elbit systems and those who work with them, those who supply them. So our fight is far from over, but I would like to dedicate this award to those who are in prison for disrupting a genocide, for taking direct action, for destroying Israeli weapons, and all of the Palestinian political prisoners as well. What I would also say is that by the British state doing everything in its power to try and stop the direct action, to try and deter direct action, they are showing how truly weak they are and reinforcing how effective direct action is as a tactic. And they are sending that message not only to Britain, but to the world, that we as people have the means to stop the Israeli weapons industry. It is operating across the world in our towns and cities. We do not have to ask anyone else to create the changes that we need to see. We can go directly to the source and shut Elbit down. So thank you.
Well, thank you, Ana Chiara and Huda Amori. We are so grateful for you as a brave truth teller, are helping us understand what really terrifies people in Gaza and the West Bank and occupied Palestine. And these predatory weapons will continue unless people take the responsibility you call all of us toward. Thank you for embracing direct action against genocidal weapon makers and speaking up as a prophet of our time. We now turn to World Beyond War's Vice President, Liz Remmersval, who is in New Zealand, and she'll present our 5th and final award, the War Abolishers Movement Award for 2026, which goes to the flotillas to Gaza. Huda spoke about a miracle taking place in the feats of efforts to destroy the weapon makers' means of killing people, and we saw a miracle on the Mediterranean as the flotillas have tried to reach Gaza and open up a humanitarian corridor. So we'll welcome Tiago de Avila y Silva Oliveira on behalf of the Global Sumud Flotilla and Beheshti Ismail on behalf of the Freedom Flotilla. Thank you, Liz.
Thank you, Kathy. Kia ora, ngā mihi nui kia koutou, ko Liz Remmersval aho, and wonderful to be here with everybody. In a minute, we're going to have some special music, but before that, I just want a big shout out to Jesse and Marzin. It was so great to meet you here in our garden a couple of years ago, and a big shout out to Abby, who is fast asleep, Abby Martin and Mike. Abby is fast asleep in Adelaide, Australia. She's doing a wonderful tour over there with the Independent and Peaceful Australian Network and doing amazing things. A big shout out to Gabrielle and our Ecuador friends. Not many people can go through an earthquake in Venezuela, break their foot, and then just carry on working for World Beyond War. So, hola, Gabrielle. And a big shout out to Anne Wright, who's just had a big birthday. Congratulations. Anyway, before we start on, I just think it'd be lovely to have some music, David. Stopping it, David. Okay, David, stop the music. So, without further ado, and that is from Roger Fowler's amazing song that he wrote, and I'd like to welcome Hone Fowler, who is the son of Roger. Was a very big part of Kia ora Gaza and worked for Gaza for many decades before he died in February this year. So, yes, so welcome Hone and Tawera, who are going to help me present this award today. So, as sure everybody knows about the story of what is happening to the people of Gaza, who have been effectively imprisoned and cut off from the world for the past 40 years. Even when being bombed by the Israeli military's control of the borders. Israeli officials have expressed the intention of starving the people of Gaza, and many in Palestinian have suffered starvation. Caring people have tried for many years now to bring aid to Gaza, sometimes by land and usually by sea. These attempts have steadily grown in size, and in the attention they have compelled global governments and media to pay to the horrors inflicted on Palestinians by the Israeli government. So, in just a background before we present our awards to Tiago and Ismail, and it started in 2008 when 5 boats from the Free Gaza movement reached Gaza, marking the first break of Israel's naval blockade. No boats have actually reached Gaza since then, and with the exception of parts of a boat from the 2026 flotilla washing to the shores of Gaza, boats have all been attacked or hijacked by the Israeli military. In 2010, Israeli troops raided the Mavi, Marmara, and 6 other ships in international waters and killed 10 activists and injured dozens, leading to global outrage. In 2011, Freedom Flotilla 2 involved more than 300 participants from around the world and was set to sail with 10 vessels. But sabotage of ships and restrictions imposed by Greece, where the boats were departing from, caving to pressure from Israel, kept all boats from sailing. The Dignité Al Karama came close to reaching Gaza. Israeli troops intercepted the ship. In 2012, the large sailing ship Estelle attempted to break the illegal Israeli naval blockade of Gaza. In 2015, Freedom Flotilla 3 made a new attempt with 4 ships. The Marian reached 100 nautical miles off the Gaza coast before Israeli troops boarded. In 2016, the women's boat to Gaza attempted to break the siege. The Gaza Freedom Flotilla in 2018, with 2 boats, Al-Awda and Freedom, met the same fate, and participants reported being assaulted by Israelis. Efforts grew in 2024, with the Gaza Freedom Flotilla attempting to bring 5,000 tons of aid on 3 ships. By 2025, Israel had begun attacking Freedom Flotilla coalition ships with drones, severely damaging the conscience of Malta. The IOF used chemical sprays from drones on FFC's Madeleine and Handala ships prior to boarding. In late 2025, a new organization, the Global Sumud Flotilla, sailed 42 boats, an unprecedented number. Several days later, the Freedom Flotilla Coalition sailed the Conscience with 92 persons on board, with the 1,000 Madeleine organizations, 8 sailboats. None from either flotilla reached Gaza, but greater attention was brought to the suffering of the people in Gaza, and greater pressure was brought on countries to stop funding weapons to Israel and to not impede or even support the flotillas, and to speak up to protect their citizens among flotilla participants. And Israel began dropping bombs on the boats. In 2026, the Global Sumud Flotilla, after attempting to block a ship bringing military equipment supplies to the Israeli military, tried again to reach Gaza with aid using more boats than ever, departing from various ports in the Mediterranean in March and April. 2,000 people from over 45 countries, including our own John Rua, actively participated, and 600 sailed on 81 boats. The Freedom Flotilla Coalition sailed 5 boats with 37 participants. Almost 500 unarmed civilians went eyeball to eyeball with heavily armed troops of one of the most lethal militaries in the world, took some serious injuries, but returned home with heads held high, cheered on by millions of people the world over. After years of the world seeing videos of a genocide, much of the world now saw videos of people from all over the world being mistreated by Israeli troops and top officials. Governments were compelled to respond, and establishment media outlets were compelled to report on not just the abuse of flotilla participants, but also, of course, on the abuse of Palestinians. The president of South Korea excoriated the Israeli government and sent diplomats to demand the immediate release of 2 South Korean participants. The Spanish Ministry of Foreign Affairs summoned the chargé d'affaires of the Israeli embassy in Madrid and strongly condemned the operation. Several governments and human rights organizations described the interception of ships as violating international law, which of course it was. The foreign ministries of several countries condemned the treatment of kidnapped activists. France banned Israeli Minister of National Security, Itamar Ben-Gvir, from entering the country. Poland imposed a 5-year entry ban on Ben-Gvir. Ireland prohibited Itamar Ben-Gvir and Finance Minister from entering the country. The New York Times wrote at length about torture of Palestinians by Israel. The United States government, ever the protector of criminal actions of the State of Israel, condemned the flotilla as it has done since 2008, while it continues to support the Israeli genocide of Palestinians in Gaza, ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, and the destruction of South Lebanon and the attack on Iran. As Tiago Diavala e Silva Oliveira says, the flotillas are a collective action of thousands of people all over the world who believe that the genocide must end and true peace with justice must be achieved for Palestinians and all oppressed people in the world. And to help me present this award, I'd like to hand over to Hone, who is going to give a mihi or greeting to these wonderful, wonderful activists. Kia ora, and thank you, Hone.
Tēnā koe, Liz. Tuia ki te rangi, tuia ki te whenua, tuia ki te moana. Ka rongo te pō, ka rongo te ao, ti hei mauri ora. Ko rangi nui e tui honei, ko papatūna ku takatoa ake nei tēnā kōrua. I ngā hunga mate, o te rā o te wiki. I ngā mate haere, haere, haere atu rā. Hunga mate ki te hunga mate, hunga ora ki te hunga ora, tēnā tātou o te whare nei. Tēnā koe e Liz mo tō mihi and Ismail and the wider flotilla team. Just would like to acknowledge in our language of Aotearoa in Te Reo Māori, one, acknowledging our connections to the land, the seas, and the skies, and to each other, and also to those who have lost in the struggle, to those who have passed, including my dad that Liz mentioned earlier this year. And so memory and also our connection to one of the recipients tonight, in particular, Ismail, in the wake of the Mavi Marmara attacks in 2010, mentioned, was created here with a public upswell of response and frustration around in little old Aotearoa, New Zealand, and for that from 2010 until recently, Dad led Kia Ora Gaza that was involved in the flotillas as well. So it was lovely to meet some of the people involved. The massive work that has been done, that continues to build around the world, and that groundswell of public opinion is shifting the tides and acknowledging the work has had, particularly over the last year and a bit, and just want to acknowledge that and support Liz in awarding the flotilla group today. So without further ado, I'd just like to World Beyond War and support Liz with this kaupapa, tēnā tātou o te whare, i ngā rauranga tirama, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou katoa. And back to you, Liz. Kia ora mai.
Kia ora, Hone. Thank you so much. I hope everybody could understand. The struggle is also one of honouring Indigenous people all around the world. Kia ora. And Hone's sister here, Tawera, is also here. Perhaps we'll finish with your waiata after we've honoured the participants. Will that be okay? Thank you. Okay, so welcome to Tiago and welcome to Ismail. Are you here with us? We'd like to present you with these wonderful, wonderful awards. Congratulations. Thank you for your courage and your bravery and speaking out. And Tiago, handing over to you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Liz. Thank you so much, everyone. Thank you for this wonderful event. I've been listening here. It's lunchtime in Brazil as well, the difference of the time zone. But I'm very glad to be watching this activity. To me, it's an honor to be part of this World Beyond Wars activity. I've been seeing so many friends here from so many struggles. The last one, actually right on top of my screen here, is John. And I remember, like if it was yesterday, me and John in the military prison at sea, the military ship, and we were doing such a beautiful nonviolent resistance for people to have access to medication, to blankets, to more water, to a bit of cover from the sun, or a bit of cover from the moist, and so many other people here that I admire so much. Thank you so much for having this event, for having this prize, this award, which is of course not based on people specifically, but to honor the Palestinian people, in my opinion. Everything that regards the flotilla is to honor that people that for more than 8 decades now have been suffering genocide and ethnic cleansing, have been enduring an apartheid colonial state, and that are subject to harm by a racist and supremacist ideology called Zionism. It's not a religious war at all. Like we see on the flotillas, people from all religions, from all ethnic groups on our boats, and the only thing that people are all together, they are humane, and that really unites everyone. So what made us go on the last mission and that made me and John go through so many violations, so much violence that time, is because people were silent about what was happening in Gaza. Back then, it was 7 months of the so-called genocide, or so-called ceasefire. And right now, it's almost 10 months of the so-called ceasefire, and people are still getting killed. More than 1,000 people have been killed in Gaza by tanks, by bombs, by rifles, by drones, and the land is being stolen with the so-called yellow line that now controls more than 70% of Gaza and advancing every single day. And aid is still being restricted. Let's remember that in October 10, the ceasefire deal said that 600 trucks per day would enter Gaza, and that really never occurred. The United Nations said that it was necessary 1,500 trucks to enter Gaza per day to fill the nutritional needs and the basic conditions of dignity of the Palestinian people. But not 1,500, not 600, an average of less than 100 trucks entered Gaza these days for almost 10 months. And even worse, when we look at their plans, is to create a concentration and extermination camp for the Palestinians on techno-authoritarian regimes that looks like dystopian movies that before seemed like something that we could barely imagine. And we need to speak out about this. We need to keep on talking about this. We need to act upon this. So I'm glad that I'm here with people that not only speak, and speaking is important, but all of you act so much on this behalf in solidarity with the Palestinian people, in all the people that are oppressed in the world. So people here also speak about Lebanon, also speak about all the people in that region of West Asia. People speak about Cuba as well. People speak about Latin America under severe intervention by Donald Trump and Benjamin Netanyahu. I'm here in Brazil, and we are now in electoral period because Bolsonaro's family wants to take over the country and turn into a branch of Tel Aviv and Washington. So it's very, very tough, the situation that we're living right now, and we're doing our best not to fall like so many countries in Latin America have fallen in the last months. But we're doing our best. There's this famous revolutionary, a Cuban revolutionary called Jose Marti, that said that the best way to say something is by acting upon it. So that's what we need to do. We all here can analyze very well the situation, and we all here act upon the situation to be useful to the free people of the world, to be useful for a world beyond wars, for a world of true peace that comes with social justice. Thank you so much for having me here. I'm very honored to be with all of you.
Gracias. Gracias, Tiago. Thank you. Gracias. Let's turn to you, Ismail. Welcome. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you,
you,
everyone. Thank you, brothers Tiago, for a wonderful explanation. I would like to thank, first of all the comrades from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition, who has been an amazing work since 2008. And we have several comrades here from Canadian Road to Gaza, Freedom Flotilla Italy, My Care Malaysia, Kia Ora Gaza, New Zealand, Ship to Gaza, Norway, and Palestine Solidarity Alliance from South Africa, Rumbo Gaza from Spain, Ship to Gaza, Sweden, and US Port to Gaza from United States, and Free Gaza, Australia, and Ship to Gaza, Denmark, and UK campaign for the break the siege of Gaza. And we have a lot of comrades from the Freedom Flotilla Coalition and from the Global Smooth Flotilla to act against Israeli inhuman siege of the Gaza. Since 2008, there was 20 different attempts to break the inhuman siege of the Gaza, and only one of them has been technically successfully reached to Gaza. And what we believe that all those actions, 20 of them has reached to Gaza, sometime with the blues, sometime with the tears, sometime with the hope, sometime with the humanitarian aid. And in 2010, we lost over 10 convoys in the Marmara raids. And I would like to ask 30 seconds for the people who has sacrificed their life for the freedom of Palestine and who lost their lives in the Marmara raids. So, what I can say that, according to international law, a prisoner have 4 rights if he's in the prison. Like he might have access to the clean water, he might have access to the food, he might have access to the medicine, he might have access to the clean oxygen, clean air. If you are looking to the Gaza right now, there's no access to the water, there's no access to the food, there's no access to the medicine. And even Israel is using chemical bombs, and there's no really access to the clean air right now. It's mean that Gaza is not an open prison anymore. The Gaza is the genocide camp right now. So that's very unfortunately, since 3 years, the bureaucracy of the world has been locked, and we were really waiting for the United Nations, for the OIC, or for the neighbor countries of the Palestine to act and they stop the genocide. And unfortunately, those countries or those powers, they did not act to stop the war, and they did not act to stop the genocide. For this reason, the civilians from all over the world came together and moved with the vessels to the Gaza. So it's giving us very clear message, very simple message. When government fails, we will fail. So here, on behalf of Freedom Flotilla Coalition, I would like to thank all the comrades, and I would like to take this wonderful award for the people of Gaza, for the children of Gaza, and for the children of Kashmir as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ishmael. And now I'd like to hand over to Tawera Fala for some last words from us here. Thank you. Tawera, we can't hear you.
I'm not sure what to do.
Yep, we can hear you now. Just
yep.
turn the volume up, please.
Okay. Is that better?
Yep.
Speak
loudly.
Mai te awa ki te moana, from the river to the sea we stand in solidarity. I'm here to sing the chorus of the song you heard briefly before, a song written by my dad, Roger Fowler. In our thousands, in our millions, we are all Palestinians. In our thousands and in our millions, we are all Palestinians. So, acknowledging all people who we have lost and people here today. Tēnā koutou, tēnā koutou, tēnā rā koutou katoa.
Kia ora. Thank you.
Well, thank you to Liz, to Hone, to Tawara, Tiago, Ismail. Thank you very, very much for helping us hope with you that the ground is shifting. And we thank all who are working daily to abolish war and build a better world. We extend our deepest regard and thanks to each of the people who've been with us today, and we look forward to remaining in touch with you. Please visit our website, mark your calendar for the annual conference, October 23rd to 25th, that will be focused on border imperialism. Please send us your videos and accounts that might be used in the peace wave that is upcoming. And please feel welcome to join a book club or a film festival, an online course, or any other ways that we can be in touch with you through World Beyond War. And as we ask to learn together about how we can live together without killing one another, let us recognize that war itself is the major problem. And we're very, very grateful to everybody who participated today, helping to part the curtains and see that we can together build a world beyond war. Thank you.